Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be my review for 24 Live Another Day, Episode 6. And all I can say about this episode is, holy shit, this is hands down the best episode of the season by far. I was really into this episode. There was a lot of crazy shit happening in this episode. By the way, guys, take a look at my wall. No more Spider-Man poster. I kept the Marvel sign there because, Marvel's cool. But I thought the Spider-Man poster, honestly, was distracting. Because, I looked at the Marvel poster and I'm like, this is going to distract people, so I took it down. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. But let's get to this review, because overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought there was some really great stuff in this episode. And, we're at the halfway point of the season, so we had to have really big things start happening for those last final 6 episodes, which I can't believe we're already halfway through the season. Halfway through this miniseries, but let's get to it. So we see the wreckage of the house that the drone destroyed, because if you remember, that drone, blew up the house, and we see Navarro is staggering up, hauling Ritter along, and Heller gets confirmation of the ambush, but it's too soon to see how many agents, were lost. So, Davis says he's sorry, but his concern in London and the drone targets, Davis says he needs access to the drone data, but the general says that's sensitive data, and Davis goes off on him. And Heller says to give their Ministry of Defense all the info they need, and they agree to work with the RAF as well. So Davis says he has to confer with his cabinet on when and how to make this public. Heller asks Audrey to get the Secret Service to bring Jack back. Davis is told by one of his people that they've received intelligence, and this was very surprising. I thought this was a very interesting event. I'm wondering where this is going to go. Unfortunately, they have discovered that Heller, unfortunately, has very early stages. He's starting to have early stages of Alzheimer's. And if you guys don't know what Alzheimer's is, it's a very serious disease. My mom's father actually died of Alzheimer's when I was 2, so I don't remember because I was 2, obviously, but it's a very serious condition. It's basically just when you start forgetting things, It can come in all sorts of different shapes, but the condition that he has is very serious, and it could be little, but most times Alzheimer's, unfortunately, is not curable. So, I think Heller's probably going to die. I think that's what they're kind of setting up here, is that Heller's probably going to die by the end of the season. It's going to be because of his Alzheimer's. I'm wondering if his condition is going to worsen. We'll have to see. But I thought that was a very interesting reveal right there, because I wasn't expecting that. And basically, they're very concerned about him. Davis is very concerned about him because he just says, God help us all, and he's very concerned. So Jack is brought in. He does not know about the Alzheimer's at this point. He doesn't know. So Heller says I don't think he knows about the Alzheimer's, although he might. We don't know. He's brought in, and Heller says they were duped and the assault team was a hit with a drone missile. And Heller says only one drone is in range of London, the others are hours away. And he asks Jack about the arms dealer linked to Margot. And Jack says he's the only chance they've got, and Heller asks if they'll make a deal. Now, he actually had a conversation with him about this before, but of course, because of his Alzheimer's, Jack just can't. When you have someone who has Alzheimer's, you can't treat them like they have Alzheimer's. You have to basically play along. It's very sad, but when someone has Alzheimer's like that and the condition they have, you have to do that to them. You have no choice. Basically, you have to. It's a pretty big thing there that I thought that was pretty big. So Jack says he can't be bought and he can't be broken in time to stop them, and Heller says okay. So Navarro tells Jordan that 4 are dead and 6 are wounded. Jordan says they put out a gas leak cover story, and Heller calls Navarro and says that Jack will be going dark to track Margot, because Margot was the reason for all that shit that went down in the last episode. And Jack will be going, basically, Jack says he needs a clean phone. He needs a couple things before he leaves, though. He needs a clean phone, field interrogation kit, car, and the most surprising thing is he wants Kate. And Navarro says, no, you're not getting her. But Heller says, if Jack wants her, Jack gets her, and so he's going to be working with Kate. So, I like that they're doing this, because Kate, at this point, has not had too much to do at all. She's basically been, in the background, but in this episode, we really got a lot more with Kate. Kate is becoming a bigger partner for Jack than Chloe. Chloe is not really assisting him. I mean, she's telling him what to do, but he wants Kate to help him. So, Jordan goes in and tells Kate that the president sectioned Jack on a mission and that Jack wants Kate, and Jordan tells her it will be black and they will have no contact with her. And he doesn't like it, but he kind of has no choice. So Jack loads his gun, and as Mark comes out, he says the CIA just dropped off his phone for him, and he introduced himself to Jack, who says he knows who he is, and Mark says he knows his wife came to see him, and asked what happened, and Jack says to ask her. Mark presses, and Jack says they have just talked, and Mark says he's worried about what Jack's presence there will do to her, and he asks Jack to stay away from her. So Jack says if he lives through this day, which he doubts, he'll be going straight to prison. So he's the last thing Mark needs to worry about. So Jack is told that Kate will be there shortly, and Jack tells Mark he has to go. Jack says Audrey told him that Mark was a good man, that she's happy. That's not quite what she said, though. But Jack then calls Chole, and he says he has no time to explain what's going on. He says he needs to talk to her, and bell check, and so she puts him on speakerphone. So Davis meets with his counsel. The military guy asks Davis how Davis will explain the additional military presence on the street, and he says he won't cause a panic. Heller calls and cautions him against doing exactly what he's planning, and says he has a covert operation that it could risk. And Davis says it's with the failure of the last operation he's concerned. So Heller says it's Jack, and Davis says he's a criminal that can't be trusted. And Heller says he has a contact that they can't pick up, and that could be because of his condition, basically, and that's probably why he's slowly starting to lose things, and I'm thinking as the show goes on for these next 6 episodes, his condition is going to get worse and worse and worse. Even though, yes, the show is in one day, I mean, it could still happen, so I could definitely see that happening, and I thought that was definitely a really good reveal. So Kate is checked outside for surveillance devices, and Jack comes up to her and says he just wanted to make sure she followed the rules. She asks why he picked her, and he says he thought she's someone who can handle what's thrown at her. He asks why she's being sent back to the U.S., and she tells him about her husband, and she says she was involved but also didn't catch him at it. So he asks if she knows arms dealer Carl Rask, and Kate says they've been after him for years, and he says that he knows she works with Margot and may be able to contact her, because, she's worked with Margot before. So she asks how he knows Carl, and he says he's been working for him for 2 years now, but he will want to kill him the moment he sees him. So that's basically what he has to do. He has to kill him. So Mark comes to see Audrey and asks about her talk with Jack. And Mark says he told Jack he was concerned about what his presence would do to her, and she says it wasn't necessary. He says it was for him. She asked what Jack said, and he said he would be gone soon. Mark gets a call from the Russian embassy, from the deputy foreign minister, and he leaves to take the call. So Audrey rubs her head, and she looks very uneasy while she's doing this. Very, very uneasy. So the minister tells Mark he knows about the threat and says to let him know if they can help. He says he has the transfer order on Jack and wants to know when they can have him. And Mark says the president has re-signed the rendition order. And the minister says Heller needs to tell Moscow that he needs to explain why he's pulling the order back. So Kate asks about Jack working with Rask, and he says he's been shutting down human trafficking groups and other shady groups Rask is working with. And basically, they have to track down Rask. So Kate says he will want to interrogate her, and he says if she's unconscious, Rask can't. He has a shoot of Profil to put her out, and says that should buy him enough time to get the info they need. He tells her it's more likely that they will both die, but he will protect her in every way that he can. She says to make it count and puts the shot into her neck. So Navarro comes back to CIA headquarters, and Jordan says there's something he needs to look at now. He says he was doing maintenance and found a partition removed in their systems. They think some sensitive files may have been transferred during Kate's husband's trial, and they want to run a backup, but Navarro says he wants him focused on the al-Herezi crisis. So Davis gets word that Jack was picked up on thermal, putting the CIA agent Kate in the boot of his car. He says they need to handle it as they think he's betraying the Americans. So then we meet Rask, and here is just where the episode got awesome. It was awesome here, because Jack says he should have killed him because he was rattling him out to the CIA. They kick him down, they ask why they should believe him. He says he brought the CIA contact and says she's in the trunk, and they tell him to open it. And apparently, Kate is gone. So she's alive, but he drugged her to keep her quiet. So Kate is drugged, and again, this is where the episode gets awesome, because he orders his men to search her, and they do. They find her credentials and her phone, Rask asks where the money is, and he says it's an account waiting on him. He tells Rask that to keep her alive because she's an asset, and he tells Jack he has a counter agent for the profile, and tells his men to wake her up and find out what she knows. So Belchuk is across the street with a sniper rifle, and Chole tells him he will only have one shot and has to wait until Rask accesses the account. And Belchuk sees them string Kate up and give her a shot. He tells Chole that Kate may not have that much time. And basically, then they try to slap Kate awake. She's dragged on, hooked to a chain. They are basically torturing her. It's really crazy here. They pull the chain up, yank her arms up behind her. They ask what she offered Nils to make her turn money, immunity, or something else. They bring him in a bag of tools. The guy grabs a knife and she's yanked up off her feet. And they ask her if the CIA is working with anyone else in Rask's organization. She doesn't answer, and he slices her thigh. She says Nils was the only operative. The guy looks at her and says he does not believe her. He grabs a bucket, throws filthy water onto her. I mean, these people are they are going way too far here. Like, they really want answers, and they want them now. It's those kind of people who are like, we want answers, we want them now. That's the kind of people that they're dealing with here. So Belchuk tells Jack that they aren't wasting any time on her and that he needs to hurry. Chole says they just need to get him to sign into the account. Jack says the CIA was all over him and it was too risky to contact him. And basically, it was too risky to contact him, and Jack says he can log him into the account. So, Rask asks if a Mitsker helped him set up the account and account at GGS. Chole tries to look it up and says part of the directory is locked. So then he pulls a gun, he puts a gun to Jack's head, tells him to describe Metzger, and Jack says there is no Metzger at the bank, and Rask says there is, and he's lying, and then he says there is no Metzger in the bank, and asks Rask if he wants money or not, and Rask says, okay, fine, there is no Metzger. And he gives Rask the account codes and passwords, and Rask tells his guys to set up a secure line and check it. The guy then has a drill, and he's about to use it on Kate. I mean, I was just like, what the fuck? Are they about to kill Kate off? I seriously thought Kate was going to die in this episode. I seriously thought that. Because we're halfway through the season. They've killed off at least one major character so far. Not too major of a character, but Kate was a huge character, and they focused on her a lot in this episode. So I thought that since they were focusing on her a lot, maybe she'd die. She doesn't die, though, because Belchuk said he has to take this guy out now. But unfortunately, he is down from the MIS guys, and they tell their guy that they are hostile upstairs. The team leader is told to focus on Jack and the guy he's with downstairs and not to worry about the others. So Rask logs onto the account that will let Chole track him. British forces close in. Kate is facing a drill. Kate tells the guy they're going to be another raid on their next operation. The guy says there are several. Kate says she will tell him exactly what he wants to know, and Chole tells Jack that Rask is on the bank site, and all he must do is enter the passcode. So he starts to hit enter, but then MI5 is there, and Chole tells Jack that he didn't hit enter. Then the guy with the drill stops when he hears gunfire, and the torturer runs off. Then Kate wraps her legs around the other guy's neck and chokes him. She gets undone from the hook, tightens her grip on him, grabs the knife and stabs him. Rask and his crew swap fire from MI5. Jack takes cover. He hits enter on the laptop. The virus is uploaded. Chole tells Jack she has it, and Kate takes cover upstairs. She comes under heavy fire. The guy's taken out, and she collapses, breathing heavily. And Jack tells Rask to put his weapon down and tells him to get on his knees. MI5 comes in. Jack tells them he's working on a car for Heller. They take Jack, try to take Rask, and Rask sets off a grenade, killing himself and several others. So they're safe now. And Jack tells Chole they're okay. And she asks why MI5 is there. And he asks if he found anything about Margot. Because, you know, it's very important they found anything about Margot. And she says to look for 30 years back when she would have gone dark. So Chole says she's there, and she found a moment over. She says it's in South London, and she's working on narrowing it down. So Jordan is running the program that Navarro told him not to. And it's the very end of the episode. Navarro heads down to the server room, calls a number. This is very important. He says there's a problem. An analyst found the missing sectors. He says that he thinks he can retrieve the missing files. And he asks if the man is working with Kane. He says he doesn't think so. The man says he recovers the file, won't be able to protect Navarro, and the CIA will know Am was set up. Which is huge, because now they have people that could possibly turn against them, who have hacked into their file, which obviously is not good, and they're not good guys, obviously, so we'll have to see what happens there. But that was such a good cliffhanger, and that was really, really good. Let's go to Simone this episode. I like that Simone and Margot, she had her own thing to do in this episode, which I really like that. So Ian's very concerned about Simone. You know, he's kind of telling her, he's telling his mom she went way too far. But Margot, you know, says, you know, he should not question his sister like that. And Margot goes to see how Simone is, and Simone says, oh, I'm fine. And their phone is ringing, and they see this voicemail. that Navid's sister gave them, and basically Margot asked Simone if Simone knew about this, and basically Simone has to go track down his sister to see what's going on, basically. So that's what they decided to do. So Simone shows up to Navid's sister, Farah, and she asks Simone what's going on, says that Navid left her a scary message saying he needs to pack up and get out of town, and Simone says Navid has been stressed out over his restoration. It was her idea for them to get out of town for a few days. Farah asks where Navid is, and she says he's busy, and Farah says she knows how important his PTSD is, and then Farah's daughter, Yasmine, comes out of the school, and we see that Simone has a niece, and her sister has a daughter, so that was pretty interesting. I thought that was an interesting thing. So Simone calls Margot and tells her that everything's okay with Farah and says she knows nothing about the operation. And she tells her about the stress excuse and is sure all is well. Margot tells Simone they cannot take any chances. She says, no. You cannot trust her. You cannot trust. If we can't trust Navid, why the hell would we be able to trust, and it makes sense. If we can't trust Navid, why would you be able to trust Farah? So she has a very difficult decision to make. Does she want to kill Farah? What does she want to do with her? So she goes back to Farah, and she asks her to stay for dinner, and she smiles. So then we see what she actually does. Because Farah tells Simone she's glad she's staying for dinner and asks if she's okay. Simone has her knife out. Farah asks if it's about Navid. She asks if they're having problems. Simone says she needs to leave now. She tells her to grab Yasmine and leave London right now. Farah asks what is going on if something happened to Navid. Simone tells her to leave now before it's too late. Obviously, Farah has no idea about Navid dying. She thinks Navid is still alive, and, she has no idea about it. So Farah asks too late for what, and then takes the phone, dials the police. Simone says she's trying to protect her from Margot, but then Farah sees the knife and starts telling. She stabs Farah, killing her. She then sees Yasmine peeking through the stairs. The girl runs. Simone gives her chase. She runs after. The girl screams help, and Simone is chasing her, and so does a concerned neighbor. And then the child runs out into the traffic, and Simone is hit by a bus. And it turns out that was the phone that Chloe was tracking. So that's a pretty big thing, because now Chloe can't track that phone, so obviously that's not going to be good. But is Simone dead? I want to know, is Simone dead? We'll have to see what happens there. But wow, this episode was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was by far the best episode of the season. So many great parts. By far the most intense episode so far. I mean, the whole stuff with Kate, that was awesome. I love seeing that stuff in this episode. The scene with Jack and Rask, that was awesome. The scene with the guys and Kate, that was awesome too. I loved everything about this episode. I have a couple questions though. One, if Simone is not dead, will she take Yasmine under her wing and try to possibly make Yasmine maybe possibly do some missions for her? Was that going to happen? We'll have to see what happens there. Also, is Simone really dead? I don't think she is dead, but we'll have to see. What's going to happen with this whole Adam guy? Is he good? Is he bad? I don't really know. He seems kind of shady to me. We'll just have to see if he's good or bad. And also, the other thing I want to know is Heller's condition going to worsen? I really think it is going to worsen. We'll have to see what happens there. Do you like that we got more focused on Kate in this episode? I really did too. I think there's a lot more with Kate that we don't know, and we're going to find out more about her, so we'll have to see. But overall, this was an amazing episode. I absolutely loved it. That's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Awkward. So, see you then. Bye.